Greetings, ni hao. My name is Dr. Scott Dell, and I'm excited to be participating with you in our accounting class. I wanted to give you a little bit of background, a little bit of an introduction, and I hope to hear more and get to know you as well during class. We'll be together for 3 weeks in China. I am broadcasting right now from the United States. I am in Michigan, a town called Big Rapids. Excited to be again a part of your educational journey. Let me share some background. I have a lot of experience in accounting, a lot of experience in education, and a lot of experience with artificial intelligence. I'm an AI geek, excited to be able to use it in accounting, in business, and in higher education. And I do encourage its use in this class. We'll talk more about that. I give you some further background. I am a Navy veteran, U.S. Navy. I served. I actually traveled to Korea and Japan at one point, and I do love to travel. I have been to China before. I've been through Wuhan and Shanghai. I spent less than 24 hours in Beijing, but I have a student up there right now from Wisconsin that I caught about 10, 12 years ago, who I'll be meeting him and his wife. He's working on his MBA in Beijing. They have a 1.5-year-old now. And I'm excited to be traveling after this course, and I'm going to be participating. I spent most of the time in Chengdu during my last trip to China. So I am anxious to renew familiarity with the country, the people, the environment, and again, excited to be part of your educational journey. I was born and bred in Boston, Massachusetts, or Northeast. It's called New England. There's 6 states that make up New England, and Massachusetts was one of them, one of the original 13 colonies. I also ended up going I studied in Israel for a year, traveled abroad, joined the Navy, see the world. They don't tell you that the world is 2/3 water. So that was the tagline they were missing when I got to join the Navy. But I did spend time at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. I finished my bachelor's in accounting in Boston at Boston University. I actually did do tax work. I managed an H&R Block tax office in Boston while I was undergraduate. Decided taxes weren't for me. I ended up going to a Big Four CPA firm. You probably know the Big Four. They are the 4 largest CPA firms in the world. Folks like Deloitte, PwC, which was PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, and my alma mater, Ernst& Young. Although when I was there, it was Arthur Young. It was actually called the Big Eight when I was there, not the Big Four. So I've got some gray hair, was there a while. Ended up going back for my MBA at Wharton and then headed out to Wisconsin. I worked for Grant Thornton, which was like number 9 in the Big Eight pecking order. So they were outside the Big Eight, but they were a fairly decent firm as I worked as a consultant. I was auditor at EY and a consultant at Grant Thornton. I've had a number of businesses myself. I spun out with my own consulting firm, had a computer training company. We owned a restaurant in what's called Door County, Wisconsin, Sister Bay, Wisconsin, which is a lot of fun. And I had a computer training franchise called New Horizons Computer Learning Center, which actually got me to China. We were exploring opportunities for a national franchise agreement in China. That was the motivation for the group that sent me to go with them and do some of the analysis because I was a franchisee and actively participating. I never thought I'd be a full-time academic. I was adjuncting for 20 years teaching accounting, and then went ahead and got an opportunity to teach at a small private Catholic school in Wisconsin, half-time for 6 months. And again, still wasn't thinking of full-time, but when they offered me a position, I've said no 3 times. And I've actually sold cars. I've sold vacuum cleaners door to door. If you have any questions on any back business experience, happy to chat. But in sales, no's can be converted to yeses eventually. And my formula is 3 no's equals a yes. Well, I said no 3 times and finally said yes for a 6-month gig, half time. Then I went ahead and they offered me full time. And that was also no. But I went ahead and did it anyways. I was going to do it for 2 or 3 years. And 12 years later, I was still teaching full time as an accounting program director for a small private Catholic school called Marian University. I ended up getting a second master's in education technology, and picked up my doctorate in 2019 at University of Wisconsin in the ACSB school, similar to Western Michigan University. And that doctorate was not the oldest guy in my class. That wasn't too long ago, though. So a relatively newly minted doctor, and moved to South Carolina, Florence, South Carolina for 5 years teaching, and then had an opportunity to get back to the Midwest, which is where I am. I do teach full time at Ferris State University in Big Rapids, Michigan. I am an instructor for Western Michigan University in this program with you. So those are some of the background and history. I'm still entrepreneurial. I've incorporated in South Carolina, in Delaware, and in Michigan. I have three different corporations. Bought a property here. This is my second year in Michigan. I'm still getting my orientation, but I did get a boat. Bought a pontoon boat about 5, 6 months ago. When I was in the Navy, most of the boats I drove I couldn't afford, but pontoon boat's fun. So I'm also a motorcycle enthusiast. I taught motorcycle safety for Harley Davidson. Uh, they make some big bikes. I now have a Triumph trophy. I don't have the Harley anymore, but I like them both. Still like to ride. And I do play pickleball. I used to play a lot of tennis until I tore my lateral meniscus, tore my 20 odd years ago. I tried playing 2 years ago again and it didn't work. But pickleball does not bother my knee and it's good for the body. And if anybody of you want to play, I'm planning on bringing my pickleball racket to China. So I'd love to get out on the court and explore. As far as opportunities for education and training, I give a lifetime warranty with my classes. If you ever have a need, a desire, or want to talk about entrepreneurship, about business, about accounting, and about the opportunities to learn and grow, I've actually authored 3 books. One is on artificial intelligence called ChatGPT and AI for Accountants, a practitioner's guide, more of a hands-on approach. Wrote a book called Living Your Dream Career, co-authored that, helping folks kind of decide what career and direction they want to go in and then how to interview for it. But I also wrote a book on LinkedIn and enhancing LinkedIn profile. I'm a real believer in LinkedIn. I hope you all have a LinkedIn address and I would be honored to connect. But as far as we go, the class itself will last the 3 weeks and we will be covering a lot of material. So my door remains open. It'll be open before I make it to China. It'll be open after I get back from China. It'll be wide open while I'm in China. I can help you in any way. That's my job. I'm here to serve you, to get you up and running. I'm anxious to learn more of each one of you, what your career goals and directions and what things you need and want to do. So I look forward to getting to know you. And actually, I'm looking forward to experiencing some of the Chinese AI programs. When I keynote, I speak on AI. I'm actually leaving tomorrow for Orlando, Florida, where Disney World is. And then I'm speaking on AI for the Institute of Internal Auditors. I do a lot of CPE, continuing professional education and training for accountants and lawyers. It's called CLA, continuing legal education on the lawyer front. And I also am doing 2 more sessions in Grand Rapids. Will AI take my job or career? Is the topic of the 2 next week that I'll be presenting on AI. So I'm curious about the AI models. One of my slides has about 7 US models, about 6 Chinese models, a Saudi Arabian model, a French model. And I talk about AI as a global phenomena that is changing life as we know it. It's changing accounting, it's changing business, it's changing all kinds of things. I also found out there were 2 Toastmasters chapters in and near the campus in China. So I'm looking forward, hopefully, to participate. I started 2 Toastmasters chapters, and I'm going to give it a plug because Toastmasters is an amazing group for public speaking, communication skills, leadership skills, networking skills. I really am a believer that accounting is turning into storytelling. The ability to think on your feet and convey an idea, not necessarily convince, but frankly, we're all in sales and marketing, and you're selling ideas. You're selling concepts. You're out there inspiring those around you to jump on your bandwagon with the things that you believe that should or could be done. And it's exciting to be in accounting in this day and age. And I share 100 years ago in the US, it took 20 to 30 accountants to run a 100-person business. 50 years ago, you were down to 10. Today, you can have 1.5 accountants running a 100-person business. Does that mean you have a bunch of unemployed accountants running around? Short answer is no. There's still a shortage of accountants in the US. I'm guessing in China, but I'll be learning more from you guys when I get there. But the opportunities for accountants are pretty extensive in the States. There is a lot of need, and even though the official numbers of needed accountants have been dropping, accountants still command a decent wage. They command a decent job, decent opportunity. But to get to use the C-suite, you might have heard like C being Chief Executive Officer, Chief Information Officer, Chief Financial Officer. That's called the C-suite. Not the A, B, C is third level, but C is the top of the line. And so being a chief is actually Chief AI Officer now these days. But 25% of companies in the US have those too. So the opportunities are extensive, do more fun stuff as accountants, making more decisions, making you get familiar with managerial accounting, financial accounting. Financial is more the historical stuff, and we'll be covering that intermediate. Accounting information systems will also be important for computerized accounting, integrating systems, analyzing, making decisions. And that managerial accounting is making those decisions, ad hoc reporting, all kinds of variance and types of analyses. So I look forward to being of service, of taking care of you in our classes. Again, I repeat, my door is open. I'm here to serve you, to help you succeed in things you want to acquire and attain. I look forward to being a part of your educational journey. Thank you for that opportunity. Good luck.